The Democrats are in quite a predicament. They're not sure whether or not they should try to impeach President Trump and fail, or whether or not they should keep making false promises that someday soon he'll be impeached. Here's NBC's Cook Todd explaining their situation.
You know, look, they have a real dilemma on their hands, and I actually think there is no right answer. There's no right moral or ethical decision, which is there are unintended consequences if they choose to go down this road, and there's unintended consequences if they choose not to do this, right? Are you sort of okaying the idea of foreign adversaries helping out political campaigns if there isn't an attempt to put this behavior on the docket of Congress? At the same time, you may politically be handing the president a cudgel with which he could get reelected, and maybe that's outside of the goals of the Democrats here.
Well, that's what happens when you try to paint yourself into a corner. No matter what you do to try to get out, it just makes a big mess because you're a moron. In a rare moment of honesty, Cook Todd actually mocks the Democrats for the mess that they've made for themselves.
I do find it interesting. First, the Democrats said we want to wait for the Mueller report. Now it's we want to wait for Mueller to testify. At some point, these leaders who don't really want to pursue impeachment but don't want to tell that to the base may say, we're going to wait till Mueller's children testify. We're going to wait till Mueller's grandchildren testify. I mean, I do think they're trying to buy time to avoid the decision, to be honest.
You can see how difficult it was for him to admit a fact on the air, because reality is finally starting to set in, that the Democrats have turned their party into a total disaster. All of the Democrats running for president right now have a big problem that's perfectly illustrated by the allegory of Plato's cave, because they can't tell their supporters the truth that there won't be any impeachment. Otherwise, they'll turn against them. Just like the people who were still captive in the cave turned against the person who escaped and saw the real reality outside, and then came back into the cave to tell them the truth, but they just couldn't believe it. So instead, they turned against them. I'm not sure if the Democrats behind this new supposed Republicans for impeachment campaign are delusional themselves, or whether or not they have escaped the cave and are just taking advantage of the poor slaves who are still stuck inside. Today, the Democrat coalition launches our Republicans for impeachment campaign. Our focus will be on outreach to the GOP, asking them to support impeachment, elevation of Republicans who support it, rhinos, digital ads, and more. If you go to their website, they're asking for donations up to and exceeding $500 to, quote, help support our Republicans for impeachment campaign. I think that the primary obstacle to impeachment is that we just haven't talked about it enough, and too few Republicans have heard our great compelling reasons for it. Yes, I'm sure that if you keep talking about it and put more ads online, that someday we'll soon be convinced. I gotta hand it to Alan Dershowitz, who is also cashing in on the delusional Democrats. He wrote a few-page introduction and then added it to the PDF, which is public domain and publicly available, of the Mueller report, and then listed it for sale on Amazon.com for $10. I also released my own version of the Mueller report for free, putting together this PDF and then uploading it to the document sharing website Scribd. But shortly after I shared the link on my social media account, they took it down. Now if you go to the URL I shared, it just gives you a deletion notice and says the document, the Mueller report, has been deleted. Before it was deleted, the analytics showed that my version was downloaded over 250,000 times. But apparently it disappointed a lot of people when they started scrolling through it and realized that every page has a picture of a giant nothing burger. And look who just crawled out of the pit of hell to give her 2 cents on the issue.
I think that if you piece all of it together, what was the polling information given to the Russians, what was done with the hacking of the DNC, not the emails, but the information stored in the cloud about persuadable targeted voters. You just began to piece it all together, and I think Professor Jameson reached the right conclusion that it certainly had an impact. To what extent? It's hard to tell because we haven't really investigated that. Nobody is truly digging into exactly what happened.
Nobody has investigated that, huh? I guess you really have been hiding under a rock for the last 2 years. Thank God this demon was defeated by Donald Trump, and we only have to hear about her every few months. Can you imagine what hell our lives would be if she was in the White House? And to celebrate our victory over the witch hunt, I've released my new Trump Thug Life t-shirt. Order yours from my online store at MarkDice.com or click the link in the description below. Like all of my shirts, it's available in a t-shirt, long sleeve, and a hoodie, and a whole bunch of different colors as well. Or if that's not your style, I did also release my new I Love Global Warming shirt just in time for spring. So head on over to MarkDice.com or click the link in the description below and check them out.